Right, we're carrying on with this exam paper. We're looking at genetically modified GM bacteria and how they are produced to make insulin. You start off with a plasmid and you start off with a donor gene. You take something called like a biological scissors, it's called a restriction enzyme. Restriction enzyme. That's a pair of scissors that can cut out things. Right, so you cut that bit out, and then with the same restriction enzyme you cut out a piece of DNA, and then you take this DNA and glue it here. So you glue it in here using something called DNA ligase enzyme. Right, this here is now called a recombinant plasmid because it's been recombined, and this plasmid, the plasmid is the vector. Why? Because it's used to carry the insulin hormone. Then what you do is you incubate it. You incubate the plasmid amongst some bacterium or bacteria, should I say bacteria, and then what happens is they're out here, and then these lot absorb them, and then what you can do is you can then incubate these and grow them. We need to explain that. So first thing, right, take a restriction enzyme. Take a restriction enzyme and cut a gene out of the plasmid. Using the same enzyme, cut out the insulin gene from the donor. Not donor. Right, then what do you do? Using DNA ligase enzyme, join the insulin gene to the plasmid to form, what does it form? A recombinant plasmid. It's been recombined. Right. The plasmid acts as a vector, a carrier for the gene, for insulin gene. Right, then what you do is incubate what do? You incubate what? You incubate the recombinant plasmid with bacterium. Incubate the recombinant plasmid with bacterium. No, the bacterium is one. Bacteria is lots. Which will be taken up. Then what you do is then you can grow the bacteria. Got used to that word now. Grow the bacteria in an industrial fermenter. There you go. Done. So just remember these stages. Where are we? There we go. Restriction enzyme, which is like a pair of scissors to cut out the plasmid. Same restriction enzyme to cut out the insulin from the donor. Then you use something called DNA ligase to join the insulin to form a recombinant plasmid. Then the plasmid acts as a vector. Just throw that in. Then once you incubate the recombinant plasmid with bacteria, they will be taken up, and then you can start breeding them, growing them, or whatever the term is. Right. 2 marker. What's the role of the role of insulin is to turn glucose into glycogen and it is stored in the liver and muscle cells. So it reduces blood glucose levels, blood sugar levels, blood glucose levels. There you go. Right. Some people are unable to produce insulin. This is called what? Diabetes mellitus. Mellitus. I don't know. Never. Diabetes mellitus. People with diabetes mellitus control the condition by using insulin injections, controlling their diet, monitoring how much exercise they do. Explain why the insulin is injected rather than taken by mouth. Right, because and it's interesting, the insulin is a protein, so will be digested by the pepsin in the stomach. Stomach. Okay. Right. Say why people with diabetes need to monitor how much exercise they do. Because exercise uses glucose. So it will reduce glucose levels in the blood. There you go. State how people with diabetes mellitus need to modify their diet. Right, so they need to control the number of carbs in their diet. They need to control the number of carbohydrates or sugars in their diet. Right, I think that's the last question. This is done. Well done. First paper.